Hi, I'm Danny Knightmare.
I'm Gory B Movie.
And I'm Movie Massacre.
We just saw Barbarian.
Barbarian!
This movie was brutal.
It was brutal as fuck.
It's a slow burn. And it's slow burn.
I don't think it was. I disagree.
But it's also gory as fuck.
Disagree. I do not think there was a moment in this movie where I wasn't clenched up and tense. Because this movie is brilliant. Even, like, I thought about it. I thought, God, it's a while before there's a big scare.
That's what I meant by it.
But you know what? This movie is so fucking good because there's these moments between characters where you're like, what's going to happen? It has just a way of keeping you tense, even during scenes that should not be tense. Yeah, that is how brilliant this is.
Your butt is clenched the whole time.
My butt was clenched the whole time. My butt was so clenched. I still can't poop.
Yeah, me.
How'd you feel sitting through it?
I love
it's LOLZ.
Oh, okay. What am I gonna say now? Oh, I'm shit at talking off the top of my head. Let's carry on.
Anyways, I wasn't bored. Like I said, I do think it's a slow burn in the fact that it's going to take a while before you see any of that gore and gruesome barbaric shit. But it doesn't matter because the story is great. There's so much tension. I'm so invested, like, throughout the whole thing. Like, there's even just little, like, kind of reveals in the beginning that have really nothing to do with much because, like, she's getting this B&B and she doesn't know how bad the neighborhood is until the next day, but it has really nothing to do with anything. It's just shocking, though. It's a shocking visual that she, like, finally sees the sunlight on the neighborhood that she's in, and it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, well, for the first part of this, we're going to be extremely careful to not give any spoilers away.
Yeah.
Just talking about how the movie made us feel and such, and the initial premise... the initial premise is pretty simple. A woman who is in town in Detroit for a job interview shows up in the middle of the night, pouring rain, can relate. Mm-hmm. And there is a Bill Skarsgård in her Airbnb. And she's like, it's just awkward. It's a really awkward situation. It's also a really scary situation. What would you do? Would you stay? Would it be different for you if the gender roles were reversed? And it makes you ask a lot of questions of yourself. Like, what is the right thing to do? Like, he is very gracious. He's gracious. He's like, hey, you can come in, you can have the bed. He brings in her luggage and stuff. But then you think about it, do you consider that to be like as polite and old fashioned if a woman did that? Because I think a lot of people.
I just don't like when he said when he mentioned that it's where he's just how he's
his upbringing.
His upbringing.
Yeah,
a lady's going to sleep in the bed and I'm going to sleep on the couch. I don't care what you say.
This movie, it shines a light on kind of that nice guy mentality, the things that men do because it's the nice thing to do. I'm going to go take your luggage that belongs to you, put my hands on it, and bring it in. I'm going to tell you where you're going to sleep. I'm going to make you a beverage and give it to you. And men are taught, as young boys that, you do that. You open the door for the girl and stuff. But especially in the context of the situation, like sometimes that's really creepy. And I think a lot of men need to ask themselves, if another man did that for you, would you like it?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it depends who it was.
But I mean, if you went to a strange place and the guy there was like, hey, dude, you can have the bed, and he's grabbing your luggage and he's making you tea, you'd be like, whoa, dude,
you would.
back the fuck off, right? You would be creeped out.
Yeah, Bill Skarsgård was perfectly casted for this because he is generally a nice guy, but he's creepy as fuck, and he even kind of catches on to it himself.
Yeah, he's not
what kind of guy he is.
he's not very self-aware at all.
But he
Until
like kind of
later.
catches on to it because he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Here, if you want something to drink, let's open it together so you can see it being opened. He's like that, but that doesn't mean he's perfect about it. He's understanding some
He's
of his
trying.
mistakes. He's trying. He also was just woken up in the middle of the night. He even admits that his head's not quite there. And he says that, and like, he's not always a perfect gentleman. She like wakes him up when he's having a bad dream, and he's like, you scared the shit out of me. He's like, but he's like a little mean about it.
But it's also, they knew what they were doing with the casting. They cast Bill Skarsgård because he is Pennywise. We are already unnerved by him. They, for a different part, cast Justin Long. He's a nice. We see him in comedies all the time.
He was in this film. 'Cause
He's
I
a
went in
nice
blind.
guy.
Yeah.
And this movie's playing with our perceptions of things and things that we're taught are, you're taught that even if you're a woman, like if a guy opens the door for you, sure, he's trying to be polite. But this movie's making you question, is it polite? Is it, is this guy invading in her space? Is it okay? Is some of these behaviors that men are taught that are polite or old-fashioned, are they still okay?
Even
When are they okay? Are they appropriate?
With me not
Exactly.
knowing anything about it, I thought he was setting her up. That's what I originally thought.
There's even like some question about like men who like doggedly pursue a woman and how that is not okay. But a lot of TV shows in the back of the day, a lot of the characters did that kind of shit.
How I Met Your Mother says, Ted says, if you love a girl, you never give up. And that's toxic as fuck.
And this movie really points that out to where, yeah, maybe the person even doing it's not 100% sure, knowing that he's doing something wrong because of the way they brought it up, but it's definitely fucking wrong. And they need to take a look at that kind of shit.
So we're talking about this stuff because we don't want to give you too many plot details. But
why I
somebody
keep stopping
asked
from
in the
talking.
chat, Nicholas said, is it a slasher movie? I'm going to say it's not a slasher movie, but it is truly fucking horrifying as far as the big reveals in this, and it's
Arnold
not,
Schwarzenegger.
the reveals are not similar, but as far as just out of nowhere, like what the fuck, I've never seen that before. It kind of is like Malignant in that respect, in that you're like, whoa, I thought this was one thing, it's something I didn't realize. Not like Malignant in plot. I'm just saying you think it's one
Similarities to
thing,
that.
it's something else.
And that it's brutal like
And
Malignant.
you
There's
don't know
brutal
where it's
violence.
going to come from. You're watching this movie and you're like, okay, so what's going on here? They're going to pull a twist on me and she's the killer? Is Bill Skarsgård doing something wrong? Is there something wrong with the house? You honestly don't know. Is this ghosts? Is this aliens? Is this witches? What is this? And I think the less you know, the more fun you're going to have because, little things happen. The doors open for no reason and you don't know what's going on.
If I saw the trailer, I'd probably have some inkling of what it was about. But I knew nothing. I think, the trailer didn't see anything for it, and then I went in, and I was just, because it is a slow burn at the start, but I know you disagree. I think it was, but it was good because you are actually questioning what the hell's going to happen.
Exactly.
It sets up so many different situations, so you've not just got one going off in your head. You're like thinking, well, no, wait, maybe this might
could be
happen.
how it goes. This
Yeah.
could be how it goes. And like, I was really never 100% sure how it was end. Even things that I like halfway through, I kind of could see where certain things were going, and they kind of went there. I didn't know how it was going to end, though. I was still like, I have no fucking clue how they're wrapping this up.
This movie really plays with people who've seen a lot of horror movies. We know it's a horror movie. And you're watching and you're like, this could easily be a romantic comedy. This situation. But we know we're watching a horror movie and we're like, I got eyes on you, Skarsgård.
I'll talk about spoilers, but there was that one scene where we all knew something was going to happen, and it happened.
But yeah, you're watching Skarsgård because you're watching a horror movie. And then you're like, okay, well, maybe it's the house. Maybe it's this, and then you're coming back to Skarsgård and you're like, what's the twist going to be? And you're constantly guessing. And this movie does a really good job of not revealing its hand too soon. And when it finally does,
you get bitch slaps.
you really do, because this goes from being something that's really holding back on showing you the scares and revealing what it is for I want to say like 20 minutes at least. And then as soon as it does, it doesn't, give it to you all at once. It pulls back again. You know, and then you're like, okay, well, now what's going on? I thought we understood where we were going with this. And a lot of movies, it would go from there to fully delving into what it revealed to you. And it doesn't. It pulls back again. And you're like, well, what the fuck is going on here?
It goes to different time periods.
Yeah.
This is why it keeps pulling you back.
The first act almost feels like a big cold open, but no, because then after the second act's over, the third act really ties them all in together. So...
But it's really, really interesting and really unsettling and creepy. The actors in this do a really good job of being natural, and in being natural because of the situations, you don't really know who to trust. Like, it's really interesting because of the situation and everything. I think we all initially distrust Bill Skarsgård. I mean, he was anyways.
Yeah, I did.
And then you see Justin Long, and our introduction to him as he's singing in his car. And I think instantly you want to like this character, and the movie makes you second guess that. The movie's like, do you really want to like this character? You might be right. You might be right. Same thing with Bill Skarsgård. You might be right. He might actually be really creepy. We're gonna play around with this, and you honestly, you're like, you don't know who to trust, because anybody in this movie, like, they have different facets to them, and you don't know who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. It's in a twisted way, kind of like a whodunit in that way, because
it's very mysterious.
It's you don't know who these characters really are. They're revealing themselves in bits and pieces, and just when you think you have them figured out, they throw you for a loop.
The characters in this movie, the poster itself, it's like, don't judge a book by its cover type thing. Your initial introduction to somebody might not be what they are. There is so much depth and layer to this movie and the characters. Like, I think Georgina Campbell did an amazing job.
She's really good.
She's Tessa, and she was great.
She's like the audience replacement character. Like, we kind of know from the beginning we can trust her, and I will say that you're safe in that. She's your audience replacement character. She's kind of us. So as we're like, is Bill Skarsgård okay? She's like that. And when we're questioning the characters in this film and the situations and whether she should go to certain places or do certain things, you know that she's thinking about it too. So,
and straight out of like a Peel movie, she looks in that door right there on the front and goes, nope. Nope.
Which is exactly what we would do. But, she genuinely does what I think most people would do. When she is confronted with something scary, she doesn't do it.
I don't think you two would do that at all.
Well, yes, yeah. But your average person, initially she wants to leave, when she finds out about the Airbnb thing, but she can't, there's no other rooms available, but she generally, I feel, does the smart thing. When there's a scary situation and she wants to leave, you're like, yeah, get the fuck out of there. Go, go, go. And yet she's not a selfish character. And I think that's one of the defining things about Tess that I really like.
That's what stressed me about her, though, at some points.
She's genuinely a good person.
Yes.
And we understand when she does do something that maybe we know is a bad idea, it's because she's got a good heart.
But there's other characters, once again, don't judge them by their cover and your introduction to them. She also has a bad time listening to some people because of these type of things. There's people who, she is trying to convince, that, but they look at her and they look at the state that she's in, and they don't, believe her either. People don't listen to each other in this movie. That is a thing.
I guess we could tell you about Tess without ruining the movie for you at all, but Tess says she just got out of a bad relationship and she felt controlled and kind of kept as a pet. And it seems like somebody took her good nature and used it against her. And she wants to believe that people are good. She wants to empathize, and you can tell she's very empathetic. She can see the good things in people, and she wants to do what's right by people.
Yeah.
But she's also been burned enough times that she does have enough wherewithal to not just dive into a scary situation.
Though she admits that she is kind of stuck in that cycle where she trusts sometimes the wrong people. And she wants to get out of it. Her and Skarsgård, nothing really to do with the further plot, but they start kind of bonding over some jazz music and stuff, and she really does start to open up to him. But yeah, it's like that. And then just her interactions with Justin Long, and how she perceives him and stuff. It's weird. I don't want to spoil too much, but she generally sees the best in people.
Yeah, and so then you're like her. You kind of are like, well, I hope it works out. I hope you guys can be buddies or something. But somewhere in there, you're watching a scary movie. You know something bad's gonna happen. You just don't know from where it's coming.
It takes a while to get scary. I
thought, from a woman's perspective, I'm going to tell you.
I understand.
If I showed up in an Airbnb in the middle of nowhere, it's pouring rain, and there's a strange young man there.
He's really tall.
My first inclination would be get the fuck in my car. I would not stay there, and that's what she's doing. So I think, especially if you're a woman, this movie is really preying on a lot of those fears we have, where you're instantly skeptical. She says, had we're the other way around, she would have told him to hit bricks, buddy. Yeah. She wouldn't have let him in.
I remember when some people come to my house and didn't really know me. I offered them tea. He just took it straight away.
Gory would have died in that horror movie.
Yeah, in this scenario, like, I keep thinking, what would I do? And she's really stuck and trapped, and you can tell she's really
There's no way she
scared.
can go across the street.
You're in a situation where you have to sleep in the same house as a complete stranger, and you don't know this fucking person. And I think a lot of guys are they don't think about this stuff as much as women do, but like we're kind of trained
her
to.
options, because she originally wanted to sleep in the car,
but she realizes she has no other options.
The street was terrible, and you never see the street, so we don't know what the street's like, because
it's pretty fucking awful.
It's intense.
As far as the scares go, like I said, I was like, I had his arm like there. So I was like, no. I was so stressed out. First, I was stressed out for her. Like, the situation with the Airbnb sounds fucking awful. Yeah. And then I was stressed out for horror reasons that I'm not going to spoil for you, but I was really stressed. And this movie had so many conflicting emotions. Like, it would make me hate somebody, and then I would like them. It would make me scared of somebody, and then I would empathize with them. Like, this movie fucked with my brain so much. It's like so incredibly much. Without spoiling anything for you, I will just say, I never knew what to think of anything in this film.
Without going too much about Justin Long's character, there's some parts about him that are douchey, but in a funny way. Like, he's just measuring, like, with a measuring tape. I'm not going to even say why he's got a measuring tape, but he's being fucking hilarious in a very douchey way. And I'm just like, oh, man.
There are some really funny parts in this, too. And they also made me question, some stuff. Like, a lot of things with, like, people. There's a lot of people we're kind of told, like, through movies and stuff, and he is somebody who works in Hollywood. We're kind of told what people we're supposed to like and stuff, but to be honest, we don't know those fucking people. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all know that Keanu Reeves is just a saint, and he should be protected at all costs, but to be honest, I don't fucking know Keanu
That's why
Reeves.
I think Bill Skarsgård was great in that role, because we all love him. He's Bill Skarsgård, but he played it, so you don't know what the hell he's going to be. Is it going to be a monster? Is he not?
This is a very similar situation. Like, come on in, Georgie, get out of the rain,
Yeah.
Like, and you don't know, is she being stupid, or is she doing what's... And honestly, I don't know what else she could have done.
Is there a right answer regardless? Like,
yeah.
It's scary outside.
And
it's scary
there
inside
are
of them.
some places where he's just really, really, really fucking creepy. And then Justin Long, I think, because a lot of the roles he's in, I mean, Tusk excluded, but usually he plays a very lovable, likable character. He's in a lot of comedies and stuff, and I think we instantly just want to like him. And so when he initially has these accusations about him, we're on his side. We're like, oh, of course he didn't do it. Of course he didn't do anything wrong. But the movie makes you question that.
Exactly.
There's parts that made me feel like it was Skarsgård with the bedroom scene, and he's making the bed for her, and then he goes full Pennywise, where after they've finished making the bed, he just kind of just stands there, stares at her. Doesn't move.
There's like this awkward thing. Like she kind of doesn't want him to leave, but he doesn't want to leave, but they obviously just met, so he should leave. It's just a funny little moment in the beginning, but
like, are you going to come on to me or not?
Right?
I feel bad because I feel like we're making this seem like there's a situation where they're crazy characters and we don't know which one that's going to end up being the killer. It's not that movie. We're really, really being careful to not tell you.
I don't think anybody could guess what happened.
We're being careful not to reveal the horror. So if what we're saying sounds boring to you and you think this is some kind of a psychological who's going to be the bad guy thing, it's not that. There's a whole other layer here, and we're just being very protective of you and your enjoyment of film, and honestly just go in blind.
I just want to tell you, out of the three people, I'm not going to say some might be good, some might be bad, but that's not what the movie's actually about. Like she said, there is a huge twist that we haven't talked about yet. We're going to wait till we get the spoilers. I don't even want to go much into it, but we kind of have to a little bit just for some of the other aspects of this movie.
There's a line in this movie, and I won't even tell you what character says it, but someone says, I don't know if I'm a bad person or a good person who did a bad thing. And this movie really makes you question, like, what is a bad person? Who is a good person? Like, are the characters in movies that we think are good, are they really that good? You know, I love Overboard, but damn, fucking Kurt Russell, like that's some rapist shit there.
And that's what we were saying about Ted earlier, and how the same thing with Ross and stuff. They're toxic and gross, and maybe it wasn't like a physical thing in a sense, like what you would think that would be. I don't want to go too much on that, but it's still wrong. It's still very wrong.
So this movie really makes you question, like, what's a good guy? What's a bad guy? What's a scary person? What's not a scary person? Who to root for? And even what ends up being revealed as the horror of the film, even that I was questioning, like, who's really the victim here? Who's really the one who I should be feeling sorry for?
Exactly. They play on that a lot, and there is
tries to make you sympathize with every character in this film.
And I will say that we may not necessarily sympathize with every character, but I feel like you empathize. Like, I don't necessarily agree with who you are, but I get you. Mm-hmm. There's only one character where I'm like, I don't fucking get you. You're horrifying.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a second.
And ultimately, I think that's one of the big questions of this movie is what's barbaric to us? What do you consider to be barbaric? Is it, being uncivilized? Well, then is a homeless person barbaric? Because I don't think so. What does it mean to be barbaric?
This movie makes you question homeless people and cops, and other people.
Yes.
It makes you question everybody and
what exactly is being barbaric? Is it, how civilized you are? Is it how polite you are? What is it?
Your lack of empathy.
What is it? And ultimately, I don't think this movie has a clear answer for you, but it's definitely going to make you question it. And it's going to make you question who is the barbarian of this film. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different options. And I don't think any of them are wrong.
No.
Except for Tess. She's wonderful.
Yeah, Tess is definitely not the barbarian.
My girl.
But she might not. All right, so let's do a little bit of
and I will say before we get to that, as far as just badass chicks of this year, Tess rules.
She's awesome. Maybe not the best driver, but she's awesome. But she's great. I'm going to give you my rating right now before we go into the spoilers. Own it. I'm going to buy this. This is out of the 3 movies we saw last night, my favorite.
Put your money into it.
Yes,
definitely go see this in the cinema. Don't wait, because I'm worried if you wait, it's going to get spoiled for you. That's why I wanted to see it as soon as possible. I'm worried the longer you wait, it's going to get spoiled for you. Do not wait for this to come out in streaming. Don't wait for this to come out in video. Go see it today. Go see it today, tomorrow, your next day off. See it as soon as you can. This is like one of those movies like The Sixth Sense, where that one was spoiled for me, and I'm still mad to this day because I didn't get the full experience of that movie. This is one where you don't want it ruined for you. So please go see it as soon as possible. And then when it does come out, buy it, because you know you're going to love it.
Special features.
My 2 favorite movies of this year are this one and Fresh. I'm not sure which one's number 1 right now, but I fucking loved this movie. Yes. I thought this movie was incredible. I liked it better than Pearl. I liked it better than X. I liked it better than Nope. I loved this movie. I highly recommend it. Definitely an ownable one. Definitely see this as soon as you can. Just throw your money at it, because it's earned it.
And I do think it is going to, despite the fact that it has a huge ending that you don't want it spoiled for you, you definitely are going to want to see this again. It's going to have great replay value.
Yes, yes.
You're going to notice things you probably didn't notice the first time. I can't wait to see it a second time.
It's a true exercise in horror, because you've got gore. You've got horrifying experiences. You have horrifying characters. You have horrifying situations. You have suspense. You have... all of the things that make up horror. This movie has all of them. All of them. It's not like you could say, Halloween. It's mostly about the suspense.
You've got it all, and you can see it all for one price.
Yes. But, a lot of movies, Brain Dead. Well, it's a really fun, gory movie. This movie has everything that
will shock you.
And I think... absolutely, this movie is going to scare people, really fucking scare people in a way that's really fun, like a roller coaster.
Yeah, and I think that's why kind of comparing it to Malignant is a good way to go. Though I would say this is a little darker and a little more serious than even Malignant, where that got kind of action-y. This gets insanely brutal. I mean, they're both brutal. I don't know much about Zach. Yeah, exactly. I don't know much about Zach Greger, the director. He hasn't really directed much other than some TV episodes of other stuff that's not horror. This, I think, is his first horror movie. But I want him to do more, because, damn.
He understands what scares people. He finds... It's like he thought of everything he could do to scare somebody, and if movies that make you jump to it, this movie does that. If it's scary situations, tense situations, this has got
Paranoia.
It for you.
It's got a perfect balance of everything
horrible
you want
gore.
in a good film.
It's got it. Disgusting things it's got it all, guys. This movie is a full buffet of horror, and you just go in there and grab what you want.
Good people that do bad things, bad people that do some good
Complicated
things.
characters.
Very complicated. There's a whole range of
And a
people
lot of
in this.
times when a movie's truly just really balls to the wall with the horror, people are like, well, it's cheap or whatever. But, I think this even could fall into like your elevated horror because it's got some great themes in here too. I'm still thinking about the themes of this movie and like what they have to say about, just society and what it means to be human. Like this movie is smart too.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, check it out, own it. Let's get a little bit into the spoilers because there's a couple of characters we can't quite talk about at all without being spoiling.
Okay, let's give it a little breathing period.
let's-
I do not, seriously, guys, the spoiler sign is on.
Yes.
Dude, we're gonna. This is a rare spoiler
That
one.
will be the break.
Yeah, when he comes back, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
I don't want to tell them too much.
No. There's a couple of characters that I want to talk about. Like it's in me.
Kevin, go see it tonight.
Yes. So
Kevin,
Peace
stop
out.
watching.
Like,
go,
stop watching.
go away.
Peace
Go,
out.
go. If you have not seen this movie, go away. Go. I don't want you watching.
yes.
Piss off. For your own good. For your own good.
Exactly. When Rich gets back, we'll talk about it.
Let's just call the scary thing the Barbarian.
Okay.
Not call it anything else.
That's what and you kind of disagree on who the
I
Barbarian is.
disagree.
But I feel like the movie's
I
called
feel like
Barbarian.
if I call it anything, okay. How about we call it Barbarian and Barbarian Junior?
Okay. Well, yeah, that works. Barbarian Jr. is kind of the main scary thing. Not the evil, most scary thing in a sense, but definitely what the movie revolves around a little more and has more screen time. So
We're being I'm trying to keep it as vague as possible because I know some of you guys are still watching even though I told you to go away.
right.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm just trying to look something up
My
while Rich is doing his thing.
babies.
One thing I'm going to say, incredible makeup and costume design. I'll wait till you're done.
Anyways, Rich is back.
And,
I've got a question then before the deep. Are we talking about what happens at the end? Or should we just,
we're
do you wanna
calling
avoid that?
them Barbarian and Barbarian Junior. We're not going to explicitly say what it is, but we will
Okay.
talk about them using those code words. Okay?
Code words.
Though, all
It
right.
keeps it vague enough.
Yeah.
Bye, Kevin. Thank you for listening.
Yes. Go away. It's hard to explain, but what's down there is not what we expected because they find this room that goes down in the basement. Like there's a rope and you pull it and a trap door opens and Tessa gets locked down there and
Tess.
Yeah, Tess. And Bill Skarsgård helps her in a sense, but then he wants to go exploring down there. And shit happens to them down
He
there.
doesn't want to go exploring down there.
Well,
She's
he won't.
extremely agitated, and he's like, I'm not going to walk out on what's probably going to end up being a free room because they fucked up over a bed and a bucket. Like, he doesn't quite she's not explaining how creepy it is.
It's also playing on their trust
effectively.
issues as well. Still,
Yeah.
'Cause by this point in the film, they still don't trust
Yeah,
each other.
but it's also like what scares a man and what scares a woman. A woman sees a bare bed, a bucket for shitting, and a camera. We instantly think human
common
trafficking.
sense.
We think human trafficking. We get the fuck out of there. A
Snuff
man would be
films,
like,
possibly.
it's probably junk from the 80s. Like, I mean, men tend to gloss over that stuff because a lot of men think they can handle themselves in any fucking situation. Like, men don't clutch their keys going to their car thinking that a rapist might come get them.
Done it a few times, but not because of rapists. I just
But
think I'm in the
women,
mud.
we do it every time. Every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Dave Chappelle once said, he once walked home from a gig with a backpack full of money and through a dark and dangerous town, and he realized that's kind of what it's like to be a woman. Like, just in general, because people will kill you for what you have, and they want to take it from you, in a sense. It's gross. But that's kind of what she thinks when seeing down there, and I get it, because that's gross room where there's this camera pointed at this nasty bed, and there's a bucket there. It's like, what were they doing? They were making some sort of gross porns or snuff films or what? I mean, either way, it doesn't look like they're making anything
I
good.
was thinking human trafficking.
Exactly.
That's where I went with it.
Exactly. It was
But it's
probably,
not that.
It's not even quite that. But yeah,
What it is just
it's barbaric.
it's horrible.
Later they find a room where there's this breastfeeding baby video, and that's just kind of there. I'm not gonna explain exactly why it's there, but it's disturbing.
I don't think we need to talk about all that stuff, honestly.
All right.
I don't think we do.
All right.
About what?
like everything down there.
Tell them what you want to tell them then.
I mean, I think we can just say that there's like really good makeup effects, costume effects, gore effects. Like it's, you know, I think we can talk about the characters a little bit.
All right.
But I don't want to tell them every single thing that happens.
Oh, I don't want to tell them everything. I'm just saying that
you
was
could
very
just say we're
disturbing.
going to do spoilers, and it's their choice if they want.
Okay,
it or not.
that's true.
Yeah.
What were you
we
going to
already-
tell them?
I was just saying that was a very disturbing visual where there's like this, there's all kinds of
Oh,
weird
there's so
shit
many
down
disturbing.
there. Just
visuals
like
in this
there's
film.
this room and like
And
it's
there's
just
a room within a room. And then
there's other rooms and there's more stairs. There's darker stuff. It's like the catacombs down there. Like, and there's two main characters down there that might be the only ones left. One of them is very barbaric in a sense that if you fuck up around this one, they will rip your arm off and beat you to death with it, if not worse.
barbaric in the physical sense,
Yes,
like Conan the
exactly.
Barbarian. Like
Yes.
this thing is massive. It's played by a man who's 6'8".
Yeah.
And barbaric in like a barbarian, as in it's huge and strong and impossible to kill. Like really crazy, like Conan the Barbarian shit here.
Yeah, like it will
Also
rip you limb from limb.
has no sense of civilization because it's
Exactly.
been born in captivity.
It's been born down there. It only sometimes it apparently comes out at night, but other than that, it stays down there. It's where it was born. It's where it's raised and lived. I think its only real kind of education is that weird breastfeeding video that we saw earlier. But that's about it. There's another person down there who's even more worse, like as a person, like evil, like just fucking
Barbarian Senior.
Yes, Barbarian.
And
Senior.
to me, that's the barbarian because that person was raised in polite society. That person had a fucking mother and a family, and that person chose to do unspeakable things to other humans. That person could have been anything they wanted to be. They chose to be something completely disgusting. They have no respect for other human lives. And to do what they do,
is nasty.
all the worst things you can think of happening to a person, murder, rape, imprisonment, this person does all that. So to me, that is probably the most barbaric character I've ever seen in a movie.
Don't want the murder and rape stuff to put anybody off because
You don't see it.
They don't really show it. Justin Long's character like kind of sees some of it, and you just see his reaction to it. But
They handled it well because he watches a tape that reveals what this character did, and we don't see it. And he's just like, "Oh my god!" So I think it's good because you can imagine
More
the
powerful.
absolute
yeah,
worst.
Your
We know what he did. We
imagination.
don't need to see it. This movie never becomes exploitation. You know, this movie is horror.
Yeah.
True
tackles it all
horror.
really well.
There is some graphic nudity. It's disturbing in a sense. Like
Yes.
it's not what you're expecting, like at all.
It's as disturbing as something about Mary.
Exactly. It's like you said. It was a tall guy who plays this character and is obviously wearing prosthetic suits, kind of like Greasy Strangler and stuff. But it's not funny. Like Greasy Strangler.
This character they play, I really empathized with them. I
Very.
really felt horrible that this character never had a chance to be anything other than what it was.
Exactly.
It has no concept of civilization. All it has is this fucking video teaching it how to be a mother, and it has every reason to hate every other living thing, and yet it just wants to be a mom. It just wants to have a baby, and I felt so horrible for this, and Tess feels horrible for it. You know, you can tell, like, she can't decide if it's the kindest thing to put it out of its misery or, you know, but she cannot live this thing's life.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, I felt worse for this character than I did for Justin Long, than I did
definitely.
for some of the other characters in this movie. Like, I felt really horrible for this character. I thought it was one of the more sympathetic characters in the film.
It reminded me a lot of like Lisa Trevor from Resident Evil, where she was kind of a castle freak type situation. They weren't given a chance, like you said. They were never given a chance to be like, even in Castle Freak, he was never given a chance. That's just kind of it is. It's a very sympathetic but very dangerous person. Let's put it that way.
It's a person who was born innocent and was treated with nothing but the ugliest things in the world.
Exactly, and therefore,
Just being, I mean, to be born in captivity, born in darkness, and to only know being abused, and that's horrible. I can't believe this thing's not more monstrous.
Yeah.
And what excuse does somebody like Justin Long or, you know, the thing that created this thing have? You know, you
Exactly.
had opportunities, you had parents. How did you become this way? You know, and this creature, I still think that this creature has a lot of humanity in it, and I feel really bad for it.
it should have been given the chance to have it anyways, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like, you feel bad for it, but it also is extremely dangerous. Like, do not cross this thing's path, because...
Well, that's the thing, too. You can sympathize with it, but you also know that it's terrifying. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to drink that fucking nasty ass milk because I'm scared of this thing. Yeah. It's like Jason Voorhees in that way. I empathize with Jason Voorhees a lot.
But don't go near him.
It's like when a lion escapes from a zoo. You know it's scared, but you don't want to go near it because it's going to mess you up.
Yeah, you also know it's an animal and that it doesn't deserve to have anything horrible happen to it.
We felt bad for King Kong, but you don't want King Kong to climb up your building and pull you out the window.
I love the complicated emotions. Like, I will say, initially with Justin Long, I was kind of on his side. And then I think it's pretty clear by the end of the movie that he's a rapist.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
And I fucking hated him. And the stuff he does, you're just like, you're a piece of shit. I absolutely fucking hated him by the end of this movie. But this movie, it toys with you so much.
It's the same with Bill Skarsgård. It does make you question if he actually did it or not. But then,
like, I was with her. I feel like I was exactly with her. Because at first I was kind of like, oh, girl. And then I was like, oh, he's so cute. I hope they get together. And even when she like looks at his little driver's license picture, and she's like, oh, he's cute. And I'm like, oh, girl, I hope you guys work it out. You guys cute together.
Get that jazz
And
going.
then when they are together later on and he's not believing her, he was really intense and scary.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, fuck him. Fuck him. Get the fuck out of there. I was worried that he was trying to lure her down there.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't trust him anymore.
it was good casting because I feel like they're all casted perfectly for the roles that they're in.
Exactly.
It really goes to the strengths because Justin Long's a really good a-hole.
Like I said, this whole movie is like, don't judge people off your initial like thoughts of them. Like, even this homeless guy who's trying to warn her not to go into the house, he's scary as fuck though. He's like, hey little girl, hey, like she doesn't want to listen to him. She runs away from him, but she should have. The cops like think she's a crackhead. They're like, she's like, you gotta believe me, and they're just like, nah, get out of here, lady. It's so insane. Like, nobody literally listens and looks at people for who they really are. Their initial reaction to them is what they kind of like label them as, and
have you got
that's
any
what
idea?
you should not be doing.
No? Well, what can we do?
And this movie is like making you be very careful. Like, I think it makes you take a second choice before you decide to cancel somebody or hate on somebody that you don't know because you heard a story about them. Like, it makes you remember you don't actually know who this fucking person is.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe they
you
deserve
don't
it.
know.
Maybe they don't. You don't know them. Mm-hmm. And you don't know the things that are lurking in the darkness either. Like, you find out towards the end. But
even the house. The house is a perfect metaphor. The house looks like this one nice house in a horrible neighborhood. But this house is like the scariest fucking house there is.
Yeah.
It looks like it's not the scariest house in the neighborhood.
But it is. It's the worst by far.
It's a fucking house of horrors.
Yes. It doesn't look like the House of 1,000 Corpses. It's in like this rundown, abandoned neighborhood where they're all crack houses that look like, you know, anybody could be hiding in there to kill you. But no, this is the one that you should be avoiding.
But it's good how each character sees the world differently. Because Justin Long, he doesn't have any like things of danger. When he goes in and he sees the tunnels, but all he thinks of is because he owns the house.
He's measuring tape.
Extra area in my home.
He's like, I could get more money for this place because there's more property. He's all measuring it with his measuring tape. He's being hilarious, even though I don't like his character. I'm still being entertained and somewhat charmed by his stupidness. But
he even goes into that like can I spoil it? The room with the camera and bed.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even acknowledge that something bad's happened. He even sits on the bed.
He goes, ew, but he's like, at first he's like, oh, more money. That's
all he thinks about.
But yeah, this whole movie is supposed to make you second guess your first impressions of anything, be it a house, a person, you know, even a monster. Like, this movie wants you to actually take a second glance at these things and explore it wants you to ask yourself, why do you initially feel like this house is safe? Is it because it's pretty on the outside?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the rest of the town's ugly, but
you know, why do you think Bill Skarsgård's creepy? Is it because it's late at night? Like,
he's tall and scary.
Why it makes you ask yourself with all these people, like, why were you afraid of this? Why are you know? And is that justified? Were you right?
Even Justin Long has to take a look at his character several times because he gets these accusations, and he's like, "What?" Like, he's like shocked that they're being made.
And initially, I was like, I was kind of on his side
because he seems so shocked.
Justin Long's also like super skinny, and it's like, oh, like he has that Norman Bates appeal to him.
He's not intimidating.
Where you like, you know, Anthony Perkins did such a great job in Psycho, where he seems so non-threatening. You know, like you understand why she's having a sandwich with himself because he seems so non-threatening.
And at the start, when you're first introduced to him, he seems like a really happy-go-lucky guy.
Yeah,
Like I said, he's so oblivious to his own badness that he doesn't even understand that it's bad.
He seems like somebody that if you came down to it, you could probably also kick his ass. Like
Exactly.
I don't think I can kick Bill Skarsgård's ass, but I think I could take
That's
Justin
the
Long.
point.
I think I could take Justin
He's
Long, guys.
manipulated.
The
Very
opposite
That's
of
the
intimidating.
point. And then when you realize that he actually is a fucking monster, and it's so funny too because even him, like a lot of people don't see themselves as the monster, even
Exactly.
if they are. He looks at the senior
Videotape.
barbarian and he's like, "You're disgusting." It's like you guys were cut from the same cloth. You just don't see it.
Exactly. He doesn't. He sees one of what the camera was actually used for. We don't see it, but he sees it, and he's like, "Ew! Like, how are you evil?" But that's the point. You need to look at yourself, and when there is a moment where he looks at himself, and that's. But that he's still he's still a bastard, regardless if he kind of
He tries to justify what he's done with his behavior by saying but like you just need to pushing into things more.
And he kind of gaslights himself too. Like he oh well, I didn't mean to do that. It just kind of accidentally happened or whatever. But we saw that he meant to.
Like he rewrites history because he needs to be an okay person. He needs to be the hero. Oh well, you slipped. I didn't throw you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I fucking just saw you do this, guy. Like
he's like, I can fix this, and then runs ahead and lets everybody else die behind him, kind of thing. It's like, what, dude? Like, that's
and
just how his
honestly, I
character
think
is.
with these situations, you can't like when he said that, I was like, how? How do you fix this?
Right.
You've done something horrible. You can't fix it. You know, some things cannot be.
He showed really
unbroken.
early signs of how selfish he were anyway when they were in that situation with her in the tunnels because he didn't even think about saving her. It was all for himself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he's
he
like,
needs to get out of here.
I need this knife, and he's that scared to defend himself. He actually drops it.
And I was so worried for
Butterfingers for
Tess
all
too
movie.
because I was like, please do not risk your life for this guy. Please don't do it, Tess. You're good. I love you, Tess. Don't do this.
And like Tess has no idea because she doesn't know anything about what's going on with him and his life and all those accusations. It's kind of sad. Like this is the cavalry in a sense that's coming to kind of save her, and it's not helpful in a sense. Like
There's
at all.
also, and even just our perceptions of like our society. I think we think that when, you know, obviously we think we're stuck in the ocean, we're fucked. But we don't think that in America that we're ever completely stranded. I mean, it's America. You're in a town. How, like her friend tells her, like, don't fucking be in that town.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like, well, how fucking bad can it be? You can always call the cops or something. You mean, no, the cops, either they don't have enough cars available or they don't fucking believe her because they think she's just like a crackhead and they don't want to help her. And she realizes even in civilized America, which again, calling into that barbarian thing, then what is civilized? She's not safe. She has nobody to help her.
Yeah.
She's completely
The
fucked.
The
kindest guy.
cops are right fucking there, and they're not doing a damn thing to help her or Justin Long or Bill Skarsgård or anything. They're like, nah.
The kindest guy, the person that's the kindest to her, is the one that people would usually ignore in the streets.
Yeah, exactly. And
Exactly.
he scares her because his approach is scary. He's like, little girl, come here. But he actually has genuinely got information that can save her life. But that's just this movie, and that's what I love about it. Like I said, I'm gonna buy it as soon as it's out.
I
can't wait.
fucking love this movie. This movie is so much like a prison. Like you can just twist it around in different ways, and you can see so many other things there. I know I'm going to catch so much more in a rewatch. I'm excited to watch this again, and definitely that first watch, you're never going to duplicate that roller coaster ride of not knowing. But I'm excited to go into again knowing and rewatching it.
No, even though I know what happens now, I am really excited to see it again because I think I'll pick
Yeah.
up on even more stuff on it.
Yes.
Because it's slam jam packed with things, and nothing. There's no things where you're watching it and you think, oh, this is dragging out. It doesn't. It's fantastic. It's really smooth, but the time's really smooth, but it really fucks with your head.
It's also a really good one where, you know, anybody, I think when you watch a movie, you're like, well, what would I do? And
Yes.
this is a really good one where I feel like the characters are smart and it's interesting. It's really interesting. And it's just, for me, just the tensions between the characters really kept me on the edge of my seat.
Long as
Yeah.
it, sorry.
Oh, no. I just really wanted to know why this movie was called Barbarian, but I went into it as blind as possible. And now I have different ways of looking at why it's called Barbarian. Like, there's plenty of reasons, actually, you could, like, justify it. But it's just so, like, while you're watching it, you're like, but why is it called that? Like, why? Like, that is
There's
such a
so
weird
much
title.
barbarism in it. It's like you could say that the way the cops treat her is barbaric.
Yeah.
Every character apart from the main lead has got aspects of that barbaric attitude to it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder, like, what exactly does it mean to be barbaric?
It makes you question yourself too, because you're questioning
Like,
what each character's going to do and who they are.
And what ones would you like do as well? Like, would you do what one of them did, even if it isn't good, or would you do like what one of them did? It's good, but it would get you killed.
Come to think of it, I'm just thinking this just now. But even Tess is barbaric, which she has to do at the end of the movie. That is barbaric.
Yeah, she has to make a
do that
decision.
to somebody who is not attacking you. They are not hurting you. That character was not hurting her.
Yeah, but
she knew because she says, I can't go back with you. And so she does something barbaric, and we understand why. Yeah. But it just shows that like all these characters are capable of being barbaric, and I don't think any of them would see themselves that way.
No, and like especially Justin Long, he does not see himself that way.
Absolutely,
his eyes are awakened to it towards the end, but even then, he's denying it to himself.
No, I will say I think Tess does see it, because Tess is genuinely upset about it. Like, she knows what she's doing something wrong.
But I don't think she could see herself doing that in the beginning of the movie.
No.
And, like, she didn't know what she was capable of. She had no idea. Like, she goes through hell for over a couple of weeks. And, like, you don't see all those weeks, but she goes for, like, 2 weeks of being in hell. And she's a different person in the end.
She gets stronger as it goes on, and Justin Long just goes the opposite
But she
direction.
becomes a bit of a barbarian towards the end, because she has to make a cold, calculated fucking decision that's pretty fucking
And
brutal.
it makes us wonder, what would we do in these situations?
Yeah.
You know, if I was born in that situation, what would I be?
Exactly.
If I was in Tessa's shoes, what would I do? If, you know, it makes you wonder what you would do and how barbaric you are.
Yeah. I'd hope to never ever be in Justin Long's shoes in this movie, but what would I do if I was him? Like I said, the measuring tape, though, is hilarious. I fucking love that.
And there's some genuinely really funny moments in this movie. He's really funny.
Literally backing up into danger, unafraid.
My favorite boop since Superbad.
That's the best boop since Superbad.
Yes, the best boop since Superbad. And it also teaches us, like, where did we learn about, like, humanity? Where did we learn this shit?
Right?
And for the one character, it's pretty easy. It's from a fucking maternity video.
Right.
But for a lot of us, like, you know, even Bill Skarsgård's character, he says it's my upbringing. He learned these behaviors that are kind of outdated, because that's the way he was raised.
He's a gentleman, but it's kind of off-putting. And then you got happy-go-lucky Justin Long, who's probably, like I said, watched a lot of sitcoms and movies, and he thinks also, like, you know, a lot of people were taught that in the 90s. Like, even dads would tell their sons that, like, you know, don't let them get away. You know, don't take no for an answer. It's gross. And they don't mean it, like, maybe in a sense, but if you really stop to think about it, it is fucking gross, and you shouldn't be doing that kind of shit. Like, I don't know. It's like they always think that you being the nice guy will pay off in the end as long as you're persistent and, you know, you put enough nice guy coins in, you get sex in the end or some shit. I don't know, but it's gross. But that's what a lot of society taught people. And I think Justin Long is a product of what his upbringing, like Bill Skarsgård's character. They're products of their upbringing, but their upbringing wasn't civilized as they thought it was.
And like I said, you could all have your interpretation, but to me, the only truly, fully barbaric person in this is that one character where you can tell they're surrounded by, you know, Reagan era 80s, people mowing their lawns, people who talk to their neighbors. They had everything given to them to be a good person, and they chose to go opposite.
Most disgusting person you could possibly be.
We're given nothing in the movie that explains why they act that way.
No, but there are people like
it's
that.
just evil.
Yeah.
It's just an evil,
and to me,
calculating.
that is a barbarian. Like, there's no reason for this.
No.
Casting for him as well, in my opinion, was perfect.
Richard Brake is fucking phenomenal. But
Great actor, but gross.
You know, a lot of these characters, you're like, well, it's bad upbringing. They had a bad experiences. Maybe mom coddled them too much. But that one character, you're just like, it's truly scary because you don't understand why are they like that.
Granted, we don't know anything about their childhood, but still.
That would almost be a kind of an interesting movie on itself.
Just
like,
his character.
How did you become this? And
Was
I
his
almost
dad
think
evil?
it's like,
I don't know, but
it makes me wonder if it's like Pearl. Were you just born that way?
could very well be that way. Either way, they are definitely the most evil villain of the thing. Even though they might not be the most physical threat in the movie, they're nasty evil.
But even the homeless person says there's something worse than the thing that is
you're
the
thinking
thing.
about that.
Yeah.
There's something worse, and I think that's what he means. Like, there's no reason for it. Like, you can't justify it. You can't reason with it. It's like kind of like the Michael Myers thing. It's just pure evil.
Exactly, and it's also another one. Like I said, she reminds me of Lisa Trevor from Resident Evil, but Wesker's the villain of Resident Evil, and that's kind of what this is. And you know, Lisa Trevor was like this castle freak type character that's very threatening, and you don't want to cross her path. Wesker's obviously the villain of Resident Evil, and that's kind of how this is.
Where's your take on it?
just, I don't know. I just thought it was good.
This is
I'm not very
fucking
good
great.
at- Yes, it's fucking great.
All right. Well, I think
I don't
that's
want to
about
say
it.
too much because I feel like I'll spoil a lot of stuff if I say
Well, it's the
things.
spoiler section.
It is the spoiler section, so if they're watching it,
But there's
Christian, I
things
guess
that we
you're
haven't
still
even
here.
spoke about that.
Well, go for it.
I don't wanna
go
do
for
it.
it. We're deep in spoilers. Look, they're not watching. It's okay.
It's fine. If they come back and rewatch this later
Go
after
for
they've
it.
seen it, 'cause that's what this is for.
I'm going to talk about how controlling Justin Long is and how he has to be in control.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a good point.
He's got the gun and he's all powerful because he's got a gun. And then as soon as he loses it, he instantly turns on everybody around him
Oh,
to
yeah,
protect
he-
himself.
He was all about saving himself anyways. He has this moment where he's like, I will be better, but then shit hits the fan, he's not better.
He's got the gun. He's got control.
His
And then
nature-
he's like, ooh, and he drops it again. And then he's like, shit, I have to save myself now.
Yep.
Bye.
It's funny how quickly we stop big on his side, because when he does initially shoot her, I'm like, oh, damn it, you idiot.
I knew that was going to happen.
Like, I obviously thought that was an accident. He didn't mean to shoot her, and he feels terrible about it. And you think he's trying to do the right thing and trying to help her. He doesn't just abandon her.
He
Like,
carries
okay,
her out of there. I'm going to get you to the hospital.
there's
I'm going to
hope
fix
for
this.
her. Oh, God, no. He's a piece of shit.
And
He
even
is
after,
awful.
like, the worst things he does later, I don't want to say it right now, because I do want them to see that, he still, like, apologizes, but he puts the blame on her. He's like, I wouldn't mean to do that. It just accidentally kind of happened. You just kind of fell. Like,
You got
it's
to
like-
understand why I did it. It was to save myself because you had no way out.
Yeah,
It's
it's like-
what the fuck?
he
And I
justifies
didn't mean to
his
do
bad
that
things
part,
he
but
does.
you slipped. It's your
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah, like you
Somebody
you
else's
saw that I
fault.
had no other choice, and it's like, no, you did, dude, but you were just desperate to save yourself. And I guess if you were more honest about that, I'd be more understanding about it. If you had like no apologies, like I had to save myself, and that's just who you were, that's one thing. But to turn around and justify and try to gaslight the whole situation as well, it's like, oh, dude, you're such a douche.
But yeah, this movie is really, it has fascinating characters, and I'm so surprised this director hasn't done other horror, because it's like, you've got a
Yes.
grasp on what's scary.
Zach Prager
You
could
have a
do more.
grasp on scary characters. Like, you understand some stuff here, dude, that's pretty awesome, and definitely shows that you belong in this genre.
Exactly.
Pay into the genre. Get lots of horror.
Yes,
You'll get it back
yes.
in return. You'll get it back in return.
All right. So, yeah, that's about all I have to say about it. Check
Own
it.
this movie. If there's a special edition, get it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's you just get all of it, and then see it in the theater and all the things, and
Get your
make other
friends to
people
go.
watch it. It's fun. Like I'm so excited to show this to other people now. Like I can't wait to show my mom it and like
It's
other
got
people.
potential to be your best film of the year as well.
I
Yeah.
do think
Check it
it's
out.
going to get some Oscars, that's for sure.
I think it's awesome.
A director straight out of the gates kicking ass on this.
And I think it's so interesting and stuff. I think even if you're not even a hardcore horror fan, that there's a lot here to enjoy.
There's
Like-
stuff for everybody in it.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's like you guys said, comedy and all kinds of stuff.
Horror,
mystery.
mystery.
Yes.
Not necessarily a whodunit, but it's definitely a mysterious movie where you don't know where it's going.
Our son's a big mystery person. I really want him to see it for that reason.
Like I said, halfway through this movie, I'm like, why is it called Barbarian? Like, what the fuck is possibly this going to?
And it does explain things really well. It's not one of those where I have a few questions, but it explains what it needs to.
There's no plot holes. I think that's what you're saying.
No.
No, like
no.
nothing bad, anyways.
It's like when you go back and forth, back in time, it shows you stuff that's happened before. It explains all that, so you're not, so you're clued up to what's going to happen later on.
Yeah.
There might even be more stuff down there. Like if they do,
That's
a
what I
sequel.
think.
That's
'Cause
what I think.
there was at one time more people down there. I don't know if there are only the two that are left, but or there's
That's
other
when the
ones that we
homeless
haven't
guy
seen.
says that there's worse down there. I don't even think he'd know about that guy down there. I
don't
think
know.
he's talking
Maybe,
about something
but-
else when he said that.
Maybe.
I don't have no idea, but
you
either
see-
way, like there might be even more. Like not necessarily even worse, just more that we didn't get to see.
Well,
You see
and
the
it's like-
videotapes.
Yeah.
It's a
With all the names
whole
on them.
underground system. I think they even explored all of it because it looks like it goes under the whole neighborhood.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does, it does.
So there's places in there we haven't even been to.
Exactly. But anyways, if it's not playing near you, go rent an Airbnb and that's close to a theater that does have it and check it out.
I so want to do
Or spend the day out watching Smile. Pearl. And-
Yeah, just
Great
make a
time with our
marathon.
buddy. Great time.
yeah.
Scissor
No,
me.
it's-
Scissor me!
Gory dick.
Gory Dick movie!
All right, Christian Orr, I'm glad you're still here, and I hope we didn't spoil too much for you, but it's spoiler talk. At this point, I was hoping you'd watch it and then come back and see this part. That's all I gotta say, though.
Can we
so
talk about the monster, or do you not want to
Go
spoil
ahead.
that part?
They're brutal, right? It's big. There's titties. There's milk.
I did read that the guy who plays him was like, I was really nervous because I'm standing here, wearing these fake tits in Bavaria. Like, this could easily be really stupid.
Yeah.
And I guess he talked to, what's his butt who plays all the creatures? Doug Jones. Dr.
Yeah.
Doug Jones. And Doug Jones was just like, you just got to go into it. And he's like, the only thing I recommend is get some good prescription contacts so you can see who you're running after in the dark.
It's
Yeah.
actually... It kind of is a monster, but it's not. It's actually very caring, and he just wants to mother
Yeah.
anybody she sees.
That's what the actor said. The actor said that part of how they were able to play the character was they said that actually that's the most sympathetic character in the movie to them, and that's how they played it.
I felt really sad towards the end. When...
She was a copy of a copy in a sense, as they point out, and therefore there's things wrong with her physically and mentally, but she was born to breed. That is all that she was grown up as a baby, taught to make babies and to take care of babies. I think she's even babying the sicko that's in the other room because he's bedridden, it seems
she
like.
had to have had children recently because she's breastfeeding.
And
yeah.
also
There's
that
got to be other ones down
she's
there.
babying him because he seems bedridden, like to the point where somebody's taking care of him somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what she's been programmed to do. And if you go against her programming, she is in a sense.
She's also a
big
fierce
barbarian.
mama bear.
Exactly.
So
She's a BB in
if
the
she
end.
thinks that her babies are in danger, oh, you are fucked.
Yeah.
You know, and so you're either one of the babies or you're a threat to the baby.
That's
You
all
know?
she sees. The two different types of things that are out there. So
Yeah,
be a
so
baby if she comes near
You're
you.
either a baby or you're something that's threatening her family, and she will do whatever it takes. And
She
honestly,
genuinely loves them. You can
as
tell
a
at the
mother,
end, and
I relate. If I was someplace and it's my home and there's an invader there and it's going to hurt my child, I'm going to do whatever it takes.
And I felt so sad for her at the end when she's going baby, and
Yeah.
Like seriously,
I felt
like
awful for her.
I just it's kind of reminds me of Leatherface. Like I always think like Leatherface could have had a chance if he just had a different family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, different upbringing. Like there's an innocence there, and that's how I feel about this character too. I'm just like, you never had a chance.
That's
It's
how I
not
feel
fair.
about like Castle Freak. It's very similar to that.
Yeah, you never had a
Never
chance.
had a chance. You were raised by a horrible person for horrible reasons and you were mutilated. And yes, you have this kind of monster brute strength, but you don't know anything. Like nobody has taught you the right ways. Like nothing. Like everything is dangerous to you, so you're dangerous back. Yeah,
The reason
I call
why-
this like this is my nickname for this is Airbnb freak because it's very that's what I would like.
But it also, one makes you appreciate all the things you do have. And when you do hear people who are like, oh, it's just the way I was raised, I never had a choice. You fucking had a
do.
choice.
Yep.
You
You
had
had
a
a choice.
choice. You know right from wrong.
You can
This
look at
character does not know right from wrong. This character is truly, I feel innocent.
Yeah,
It's truly a victim, and I really
A
sympathize
dangerous,
with this character. But
innocent victim, but
a lot of the other characters in this who are making excuses how they didn't know better. You knew better.
and this character doesn't make excuses. I mean, I don't
No.
know if she would know how to do that, but she doesn't. She just knows what she was in a sense raised
And
to
it
do.
loves completely and selflessly.
Yes.
It will risk its life
Throw
for
itself
its
off
family.
of the top of
yeah.
the building for you.
It's so sweet.
I think, I guess the only selfishness is that it selfishly wants to keep you, but
Oh yeah.
But it's also
regardless,
for your own good. 'Cause there's
it
scary
trying
things
to
out
fit-
there.
it thinks that it's helping. Like it thinks that it doesn't realize that it's being selfish by any means. It thinks that it's actually
It
protecting
also
you.
has been taught that the world is a scary, dangerous place.
That's all it's ever known.
Mm-hmm.
So
Stay
it
in
doesn't
your-
want you to go away. It wants you to be safe.
Which is why
stay
it
in the
chases
hole.
her down. It's chasing her down because it wants
It wants to bring her
to-
back to the safety of
what
the-
she sees as safe.
The
Yeah.
underground catacombs is safe. The world
I mean,
of pop is not.
When you watch a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger or somebody, and someone's like, you got to stay with me, and you're like, okay, this is the big, strong character. The smaller, more vulnerable character needs to be with them to be safe. That's what this creature thinks.
Yeah.
I'm big and strong. I can protect you.
I'm the big mama
You know,
bear.
I'm the
Come
big
in here
mama.
to the
I'll
den.
protect you.
The den,
It's
and-
innocent.
and it also shows that upstairs, like outside, is dangerous.
Yeah.
It's like there's
It
all
is.
like I said, don't judge anything by its cover in this.
Scary
thing.
people, scary cops, scary all kinds of
Yeah,
things.
exactly. There's all kinds of Justin Long, Skarsgård in their way. They're scary in their own ways, different ways, but they're scary. Everything's scary.
So I loved Keith. Bless
Yeah,
his heart.
Keith. I felt bad for Keith. He got raw
Me
deal.
too.
I feel like there was more to him too, like with his nightmares and stuff. I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
But
I
anyways,
wonder if something happened to him.
Please
That's
check
it.
it out.
we're rambling on at this point. Love it though.
I hope when this comes out, it has all the special features because I just would just like to just nom all the special features, the commentaries and interviews.
I'd
and,
like to see alternate endings if it's done.
Me too.
You're
like
getting me
to
all titillated.
I hope there is like at least some deleted scenes or something. You know.
I hope there's so much. I hope like sometimes something comes out like X and has like a featurette and stuff. I'm just like, okay, I want commentary, I want special features, I want author, and all the things. Lots of interviews with all these cast members.
I hope there's commentary with some of them.
If this
Really
film was a
love
meal,
this.
it's the best meal you'll ever have. Check it.
Yes, it's so fulfilling.
It's
So
very fulfilling.
All right. Cut. Scissors.
scissor.
Bye.
Bye.